Welcome to Duggar News 24, your daily source for the latest updates, headlines, and deep dives into the world of the Duggars. Subscribe and stay informed 24/7. Counting on alum Jill Duggar Dillard is back on social media with shocking news. She has been documenting her busy life reviving her garden, which was previously damaged by a hailstorm. She has also been focusing more on making healthy recipes while using some of her plants as ingredients. But amid all the positivity, Jill and Derek are going through a heartbreaking loss. Keep reading to see her post. Last month, Jill took to social media to share photos with Derek as they visited her daughter Isla Marie's grave. The Counting on alum suffered from a miscarriage last year. The majority of the Duggar family also came to her daughter's funeral. Since then, Jill and Derek have been regularly paying tribute to their child, leaving flowers on her grave. Many fans are also glad that Jill and Derek are doing great in their healing journey, but Jill recently took to IG to share that they suffered another loss. Jill Duggar Dillard recently took to IG to share sad news about the passing of her husband's grandmother. The Counting on alum shared a photo of her arm holding a flower right beside the coffin of Derek's grandmother. She then shared photos of her Mimi when she was still younger, adding that she would have turned 90 years old this year. Many fans also took to Jill's comment section to sympathize with her and Derek. "So sorry, praying for you guys. She was so beautiful. So sorry for your loss, guys. Hugs and prayers to you all. Sorry for your loss, Derek and Jill. My condolences to you and the Dillard family. So sorry for your and the family's loss. I'm so sorry for your loss." Sending lots of love and prayers. Before sharing the passing of Derek's grandmother, Jill Duggar Dillard made headlines after showing off her new look. The Counting on alum purchased new hair extensions that gave her a mix of dreadlocks and straight hair. Many were surprised by Jill's new look, but being worldly is no longer new for her. She was dubbed as one of Jim Bob and Michelle's most rebellious daughters. She has openly gone against the IBLP's teachings and even wrote a book about her difficult life growing up under Bill Gothard's rules. "My little hippie chick, it looks so good. I love that you are free to be yourself. From a dreadful hippie. I love those. Been wanting to get them but very pricey for a full head. Your inner hippie is all out, suits you well. Peace and love, Jill. That's so pretty. Unexpected too, so fun seeing you experiment with your hair. It really suits you." The spring sun cast a golden light on the garden soil as Jill Duggar Dillard knelt quietly among her blossoming plants, her fingers gently patting down the earth around a new basil seedling. The scent of rosemary lingered in the air, mingling with the faint memory of tears. It had been a long year. A year that taught her more about grief, healing, and the unpredictability of life than she ever thought possible. A year ago, she and her husband Derek had suffered a loss so profound that even now, the weight of it hadn't entirely lifted. They had lost their daughter, Isla Marie, to a miscarriage, a name that had come to them in a dream, a soft whisper in the night. A name that still danced on their lips during quiet moments. It was a tragedy that tore through their hearts like a storm, washing away the innocence of expectation. Isla had barely existed in the world's eyes, but in their hearts she had been real. A daughter, a sister, a bright hope. Since Isla's funeral, Jill and Derek made it a tradition to visit her resting place every few weeks, bringing with them fresh flowers from the garden Jill had poured herself into. It became her sanctuary, a space where grief met hope, where she could dig her hands into the soil and feel something growing, even as she mourned what had been lost. The hailstorm that had damaged her garden weeks ago felt symbolic, nature's cruel reminder that even beauty and growth are not immune to pain. But like she always had, Jill picked herself up. She replanted, she started again. That's who she was now, not the quiet, obedient daughter from the IBLP upbringing, not the reality TV teen, but a woman who had walked through fire and kept going. Then came the second blow. It was early May when Derek's phone rang. The quiet crack in his voice as he answered was all Jill needed to know something was wrong. It was his mother, her voice barely composed. "She's gone. Mimi passed away early this morning." Mimi, Derek's grandmother, a pillar of wisdom and warmth, had been ailing for months, but the news still felt like ice in the veins. Jill had loved her deeply, not just as Derek's family, but as her own. Mimi had been one of the few constants, offering them comfort when Isla passed, praying with them, sending handwritten notes that smelled like lavender and thyme. She would have been 90 this year, Jill whispered to herself as she stood beside the open casket, her hand holding a single white lily. She pressed her arm gently against Derek's as he stared ahead, his face unreadable. At the service, Jill shared a memory, one of the first times she'd have met Mimi. She welcomed me into her home with a hug that made me feel like I belonged. She told me, "Honey, life's gonna throw you some curveballs. Catch what you can, duck what you must, and always laugh in the in-between." A bittersweet chuckle rippled through the mourners. Jill posted a tribute to Mimi later that evening on Instagram. A photo of her arm gently laying the flower beside the coffin, and another of Mimi in her youth, glowing with a timeless smile. The response was overwhelming. "So sorry for your loss, Jill and Derek. What a beautiful soul she must have been. Sending love and light during this hard time." Somehow, these digital threads of comfort, strangers and fans reaching out, wove into something tangible. It reminded her of the community she still had, even as she distanced herself from parts of the life she was raised in. That same week, as if life were determined to remind her that it wasn't done shaping her story, Jill revealed something entirely unexpected. A new look. Hair extensions, a blend of soft dreadlocks and straight lengths, now framed her face. "My little hippie chick," one follower commented, "it looks so good. I love that you are free to be yourself." It was a transformation not just of style, but spirit. For years, Jill had been known as the rule follower, the soft-spoken Duggar daughter who once wore only long skirts and lived within the strict doctrines of the Institute in basic life principles. But that Jill had slowly evolved. She'd grown into a woman unafraid to question the ideologies she'd been taught, someone willing to break free, write her truth, and wear it for the world to see. The hair to her was symbolic. "I just wanted to do something that felt me," she told Derek. He had smiled, brushing a strand off her face. "I think it suits you. You're finally letting your light show." In her memoir, Counting the Cost, she had already taken brave steps to expose the contradictions, pressures, and emotional strain of growing up Duggar. She'd talked about the expectations placed on daughters, the silence that surrounded trauma, and the isolation she felt after stepping away from the show. But through grief, through losing Isla and now Mimi, Jill had discovered something even more important than truth: the power of presence, of showing up, for her husband, for her kids, for herself. The following Sunday, the family sat on a picnic blanket in their backyard. Jill brought out her homemade elderberry lemonade, one of her latest healthy recipes, and a batch of lavender lemon cookies. Israel and Samuel chased butterflies under the wide Arkansas sky while Jill watched, her heart aching and healing in equal measure. Derek sat beside her, wrapping his arm around her shoulder. "You're stronger than you know," he said quietly. She leaned into him. "Some days I wish I didn't have to be. But look at you," he said, gesturing toward the garden, the kids, the sky. "You keep going." A butterfly landed on her knee, pale blue and trembling. Jill smiled. She knew grief would always be a part of her now. There would be moments, when she smelled lavender or heard a lullaby or flipped through old family albums, that the sorrow would return, uninvited. But she also knew that sorrow didn't mean the absence of joy. It could exist alongside laughter, hope, even new beginnings. Her next Instagram post was a simple one. A close-up photo of a blooming sunflower in her garden. The caption read, "Grief is like a seed. You bury it deep, and for a while, it's just pain. But one day it grows into something beautiful. Not because the loss is gone, but because you survived it. For Isla, for Mimi, for everyone who has loved and lost. Keep growing." The comments poured in. "You've inspired me in my own journey. Thank you for being real. We don't get to see that enough. You're planting beauty in a broken world. That's rare. Keep going." And she would. For Jill Dillard, life was no longer about perfection or performance. It wasn't about following the path laid out by someone else. It was about finding her own, even if it wound through sorrow. And as the seasons changed, as new flowers bloomed and old ones wilted, she continued to count the moments that mattered, holding Derek's hand at Isla's grave, hugging Mimi's memory, chasing her kids under the summer sun, and rediscovering, again and again, who she was meant to be.